Hi, this is my final reflection for student engagement. And in the lesson, you can see that I'm reading a book, and I've created a worksheet to go along with this book so that the students don't check out about 2 minutes into the story. The story is about wiggly worms at work, and the reason I chose this particular book is because we were beginning a study about worms. Simplest life form. The lesson came just after a thorough study of food webs and food chains, and then just beginning of one on life cycles. And the district had already ordered these worms quite some time ago, and so here we were with worms, about 6 to 8 inches, little brown earthworms in a container. The students knew that they were back there, but they'd been up on a shelf, and so students didn't bother them, they didn't bother the students, that kind of thing. The reason that I chose this particular lesson is because I initially thought about engagement. I think of mostly our elbow partner talking, our neighbor talk, when students are actively doing something. The doing and the engaging portion I think of almost synonymously. But I learned last year in the science, the content portion, when I think of engagement, it's not always the same term. I shouldn't always think of it like that. Our district uses the National Standards for Science. It's called the 5E model, and they stand for engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. And in that last year's content, I learned that the engagement portion did not necessarily, I had it confused, and I always thought of it as automatically the exploration portion of the students going in and participating and doing the lab, so to speak. And it turns out I was wrong, not the first time. So the engagement portion really is us bringing in another type cross-content material, like I did in this time. It happened to be literature, and bringing that to the science and having students relate to it and draw their interest in. So that's where I thought that they were, meant like us doing the lab. That wasn't it at all. The engagement portion was to pique the student's interest in that particular subject or particular lesson, and then we do, whatever it is we're going to be doing and whatever it is. But it's background building is really what the engagement portion was supposed to be about. And I felt like I covered that in this. So, I didn't know if you understood it in the same way that I did initially, that engagement wasn't so much us hovering over the table, pulling worms apart, and that kind of thing, because we did get very engaged the next day when we were doing the exploration portion, the observation of our wiggly worms, and seeing how worms reacted to different stimuli and things like that. I would have loved to have taped that one, but that one was my cooperating teacher did my evaluation on that portion. Something that I would like to do, I know PBS does a lot of professional development in the 5E lessons, and I've looked at some of those to kind of help get it going a little bit more. I felt like we stalled out and some of our engagement. I would have liked to have seen a little more peer talking. I kind of have a hard time between letting the students run with some of the conversation and then letting them run wild. There's a fine balance in there. I'm still honing in on some of that. So part of it is just my listening skills as to how much is too much. This particular group can get carried away pretty quickly. But the engagement part, having them write as we went along in the lesson was really good, because otherwise without that we are checked out in 2 minutes. Anyway, I hope that helps. Have a good day. Bye-bye.